In this video we're going to cover creating the flyby with the Marslander and full planet using Maya and After Effects. We had previously combined the legs and the body. Selecting them all, we went to Mesh and chose Combine. We did that with the propeller at the top and the cylinders that it's mounted to. And then we went in and we grouped the arm. And we also named them in the channels. So each one has a name to just kind of make it a little easier to keep things organized. The next thing we did was to select all the components and hit Command G, centering the pivot. In this one, we're only going to animate the propeller. I'll select the cylinder, and going down to the corner of my timeline, I can see that my playback head is at the beginning. And you can drag to frame 0, and you can drag across the timeline, and if you were to and let go, you'll see that a frame that is left on is reflected here. We also have this VCR control that will allow us to start and stop the animation. Before we animate anything in Maya, we have to make sure that this little icon to the left of the little orange guy with the gear over his shoulder is clicked on and has a red background. We'll start by making sure that the playback head is at the beginning of the timeline at frame 1. I could have punched the number in here if I wanted to, or I could have manually dragged it there. With the playback head at frame 1, we'll go up to the channel box, and I'll right-click on the word Rotate Y, and I'll choose Key Selected. You'll see a red bar, and you'll see a corresponding red line in the timeline itself. I'm going to put the playback head at frame 20, and then I'm going to change the 0 and rotate Y to 360. If I were to drag through my timeline now, I can see I get one rotation, but then it stops. I could have also used the playback panel by clicking on that triangle, and it would play it, and it'll continue to loop depending on the frame range. I can click on the little red box to stop it. Now I'd like this to rotate continually for the duration of the animation. I'll hold my Shift key, and I'll click anywhere to the right of frame 20, and I'll drag across to the beginning. You can see this blue selection. Now I'm going to go to Window, Animation Editors, and the Graph Editor. In the Graph Editor, you'll see this green line, and it's not straight, which means the propeller rotation slows down and speeds up and slows down again. I want it to rotate continuously. I'll marquee select, and then in the editor, I'll click on the single orange line with the little box. And you'll see you have a straight line now. I'm going to click on the word Rotate Y, and then I'll go to Curves, Post Infinity, Cycle. I'll close out the window, and if I were to play my animation now, the propeller will rotate continuously even though the keyframes are between 1 and 20. I'm going to stop it, and next we need to introduce a green background, which we will key out in After Effects. Next we'll go into an orthographic view in which we will place a polygon plane that will be green that we can key out in After Effects like we did with the planets. I'm going to create polygon primitives plane. I'll drag a good sized plane. I'll move it behind the lander, and then I'll right click and choose Assign New Material, Arnold, AI Standard Surface, and I'll choose the default green. Now I'll hide the grid by going to the top of the viewport, and you see a little icon below the P for panels, and click on it. The grid will disappear. Now we're going to introduce a light, and we'll use a spotlight. I'll start to position it. Hitting T on the keyboard, I can separate the source, which is the cone, from the target, which is where we want to attach it, by holding the V on the keyboard and snapping it to the lander. In the attributes, I'll leave it at 1 for now. I'll bump the cone angle up to about 150, and the penumbra angle I'll drag to 10. Now if I were to go to the inside of the viewport again and go to lighting and choose Use All Lights, I can see now that light is showing up. I want it to be a little brighter, so I'll start to intensify it a bit, and maybe I'll move up a little higher. Now we're going to render this out as a QuickTime movie with it stationary, because we're going to be able to fly it across the screen in After Effects by keying it as a separate animation once we drop out the green screen. So I'm going to my outliner, I'll click to deselect the lights, and I'll just kind of zoom in a bit. And anything that's in the viewport, down here I've got my axes in the corner part of the light here. We're going to be able to go in and key out the green and mask out a good area of it first around the ship itself. So now all we need to do is go to our Play Blast, and we'll go ahead and we'll render out our QuickTime movie. Now each time make sure that Use All Lights is selected, and now I'm going to go to Windows and I'll go to Play Blast, Attributes, and I'll choose the 1 through 200 for the frames to be rendered, quality 100, and scale 1, and I'm making sure that I've chosen render size from render setting. That will match the aspect ratio for our Planet movies, and I'll hit apply. And then I'll go to File, inside of QuickTime, and Save, and now we'll go into After Effects.